We're at Schubas tonight. I'm here with Matt Priest of the band Canasta. Last month they had a 10th anniversary show right here at this venue, and currently I believe they're working on their next album, which will come out sometime before 2020,
Yep, that's right.
from what I'm told.
Okay.
And currently Matt is drinking a
Alpha King.
an Alpha King, and
It's Alpha King.
I have a White Russian, and we're talking about music. And Matt was just telling me about all the terrible clubs in other cities.
No, but you gotta, I mean, when you're, especially when you're first making a foray into a city, you don't necessarily have a lot of choices, like where you're gonna play. Like, if you're in the Midwest, fine. Saying you're from Chicago and sort of throwing around some of the things you've accomplished here can go pretty far. But outside the Midwest, no one cares who you are until you've been there and start to make an impact. And so the first couple times you go through town, it's like you gotta play wherever you can get a show on that night that you're going through town. And so, I don't know, I'm sure there are good clubs in every city, but it just seems like, you know, you gotta work harder to find them. And even in some pretty big, pretty happening cities, like you'd be surprised. But in Chicago, yeah, we're set up. It's awesome. There's so many cool places to play.
Yeah, I mean, you can just run down the list, like Schubas, Beat Kitchen, Lincoln Hall, The Rib,
Empty Bottle, Metro, Double Door, Martyrs, Old Town School of Folk Music, like
Abbey
so many
Pub.
places. Abbey Pub, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the city is so fantastic. It's
Reggie's, Bottom Lounge, yeah.
not so much Reggie's, but
I mean,
that's more of a personal thing.
Well, and not for our band specifically, but I've like seen some
like the Viper Club,
That's right. The Cubby Bear.
who featured Raekwon a couple weeks ago.
What?
Exactly.
I guess that's not so crazy. I saw Parliament Funkadelic there once, like maybe like a decade ago. Every once in a while, they bookily surprise me with something. I think Sebastian Bach played there recently.
He did.
So yeah, they mix it up.
Yeah, but speaking of Chicago, when I think of Canasta, the first thing I think of is the city of Chicago. Like, I think you guys have done a really good job of kind of ingraining yourselves in the city.
Cool.
It's like doing charity stuff and helping out where you can. How important is that relationship for you guys between the community and the band?
Pretty crucial. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is in my imagination, but I feel like we sound like we do because of where we live. I'm not saying that we are representative of a Chicago sound. I'm just saying that I feel like when you hear us, I feel like you're definitely hearing some Chicago. Now, it's just one finger. It's okay. The camera fell over before because I pounded the table because I was so excited about a point. This is all I'm going to do. This is it right here.
Okay.
This is how I'm going to do.
I think we'll be safe.
I'm going to drive my point home with one finger. So I feel like we sound like we sound because of Chicago. Because the scene is super supportive, because there's a ton of overlap with genres here, because different genres and folks that play in different styles like don't mind hanging out and crisscrossing, because it's such a great music town that you don't necessarily have to feel like a lifelong committed rock and roller to start a band. Like, it's cool if you and a bunch of friends who kind of play some instruments and have some, or people who used to be in school orchestras and stuff, like, you can just start a band, and like Chicago's receptive to that, and I'm not sure that would be the case everywhere. It's great. I mean, but it's such an awesome music scene too. There's a ton of competition, and it can be hard to stand out for sure. And there's so many great clubs, but they have to sort of be real careful to make sure that. I'm getting off on a tangent here, but it's taste of a club. I think about this kind of stuff a lot, but like a lot of times, whether or not they say it, clubs are kind of hoping that you'll be somewhat exclusive when you play there, meaning like you won't play down the street 3 days later or whatever. And it's just because they want to know that they're going to get 100% of your attention, your promotional attention, and your fans and so forth. You know, like they kind of want a little sphere, a bubble around your performance, and so it can be. You know, when you're you're getting started early on and you're trying to become a better band and you want to cut your teeth and become a better live band especially, and you want to play all the time, but it's a little frowned upon by venues. And not because they're jerks, but just because like they got to try to make a living too, and they have bartenders and stuff who need, you know. So I get that. But as a result, it's like you got to get really creative with where you can play and finding shows and stuff. And so playing charity shows, like not only does it feel great to help out a great cause or whatever, but it's also a lot of fun to play for an audience, and almost necessary to play for an audience that isn't necessarily your own fans, the same people you always play with, the same, it's awesome. Your fans are awesome, but they're often easy to please, you know what I mean? You get better by playing for strangers and stuff, and by playing often. And so it's because of benefit shows and stuff where folks call you up and they're like, we have a really cool cause, we'd love to have you play. We're not expecting your crowd to be there. We've got a crowd coming, but we'd love to have you entertain people. And it's like, that's great. That's a match made in heaven. You know what I mean? We would love to help the cause, and it's really important for us to get up in front of new people. And so that's a win-win for everybody. So yeah, we've done a ton of those over the years. It's super fun. And I'm going to get pretty philosophical here, but it's like playing in a band, it's kind of... I have some hang-ups about this. I mean, obviously I get over them, but it's a little like asking people to come out and like pay money and stand there quietly and listen to what you're doing. It's kind of egotistical. It's a pretty self-centered thing to be like, no, you got to come hear what I have to say. This is going to be awesome. Both to your friends and to strangers. So for those of us who have full-time jobs and stuff, it's like you only have so many hours a week you get to do something else with, and we've chosen to do a lot of music, but that means that not many of us have much time left over to do charity work or to really give back to the community or do anything of that nature, stuff that really everybody should probably try and do at least some of. So I feel like it's almost imperative that we're good, thank you. So I feel like it's almost imperative that every once in a while we do something to kind of give back and sort of make it not always about all the attention coming our way. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, it just feels like it's got to be some exchange there. Otherwise, over time, I don't know, your head gets big or whatever. It's just, yeah.
So let's touch on that a little. Recently, you guys took a State Department trip to Mongolia.
Sure, like you do.
And did a little tour, I think, back in like February.
That's right, February, yep. Which is the coldest month of the year.
I read a little bit about Mongolia.
Yeah, absolutely.
It seems like it's chilly there.
It's the coldest month of the year. It's like negative 22 is the average temp by day, and it's negative 44 at night.
So what was that experience like for the band?
Yeah, I mean, far and away, the most interesting, craziest thing we've ever done. It really went well beyond like the band. I mean, we played shows and stuff, but it was more like, it was above and beyond most adventures I've taken like as a person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we played music. We played actually a lot of shows. There were a number of days where we played in the morning for like school kids, and then at night for like a public concert. So we played a lot, but still, we were there for 12 days, and so most of the time you're not playing. And it's interesting, like, to spend that much time with the band. They're my friends, but most of us have a musical relationship, and then all of a sudden to be sort of thrust into this like crazy adventure together, it's really interesting. I mean, just touring even around in the States, you really get to know people, and even that can often break bands up and stuff, But to get thrown into that sort of situation, it's crazy. It's crazy. I think it ran the gamut. Everybody's glad they went because it's a one-of-a-kind experience, and when someone offers to send you over there, like, you gotta go, obviously. But I do think that some people loved it, like it's one of the most fun they've ever had, and would love to go back tomorrow. And some of us, I'm more in the camp of like, I'm really glad I did it, but I was also really ready to leave towards the end. It's a really beautiful country. The people are really resilient, really resourceful. But I'm definitely an urbanite, like, no question, and it was way closer to roughing it than I thought that I was prepared for. So it's like, and then also I like to sound good. Like, we work really hard as a band to practice and sort of warm up, and we try to put on really good shows. So it was stressful because, first of all, temperatures are absolutely unbelievably cold. That's not so great for singing. The elevation's really high, which is not so great for singing. The pollution in Ulaanbaatar, which is like the capital, the pollution is the worst in the world during the winter because they burn coal and tires and stuff like that. So you can like taste the air. So like you wake up the next morning after you arrive and it feels like you have a cold. And then on top of that, like, they just, talk about being spoiled. Like, we have so many great clubs here and great gear and stuff. They just can't offer the greatest gear. We didn't go into it expecting there would be, you know what I mean? But all those factors combined, like, it was really hard to sound good. The folks over there, they don't have that much to compare it to because American bands don't visit over there very often. So they were not being judgmental. They were very cool, the audiences. So I probably shouldn't have minded too much, but it was still hard for me to get past the idea. It took like half the trip for me to get over the idea that like, we might not sound our best, but that's okay. Do you know what I mean? Because this is more about them just sort of getting a glimpse of like what we do over here and us getting a glimpse of what they do over there. And we totally did. The food's not great. even the folks I know that work in the embassy over there are, will tell you that of the different places they've been stationed, the food is a little rough. In the winter, it's like root vegetables and mutton and horse meat, and it's like an outhouse once every, like 5 hours of driving. That sense. But the people are really cool, and it's just an amazing culture, and they've been around forever, and it just puts everything into perspective. You know what I mean? But yeah, here we played probably 10 shows or something, and in every case they provided an audience for us, and that's a real honor to play for people, to represent your country and show people over there what it is that we're up to over here. And we met all sorts of, we sort of met like cultural affairs officials and stuff like that, and had some meetings, like some cultural exchanges, and we talked about how music works over here and how theater works over here, because I have some experience in theater, and we went to some theaters and met a lot of musicians over there and exchanged ideas and stuff. It was pretty cool. We had a translator, we had an unbelievable driver who, in the city, it's insane. There's almost it seems like there's no rules at all. I mean, I've been like Italy is crazy driving and stuff, but it's crazy there. And then next thing you know, they're just off-road, and they just drive through the mountains to bring you somewhere, and they just stop taking the road. It's insane. And there's sheep and camels everywhere, which is really cool. And I don't know. Yeah, pretty unforgettable experience. I'm really glad I did it, but it's definitely not my scene. But I'm so glad I went, once. Yeah, absolutely. And some people in the band, like, it's the coolest thing I think they feel like they've ever done. They love it to death, So, yeah, of all the things we've done, it's so funny. We spend so much time scratching and clawing to get every gig, every opportunity, competing with other bands around town. Whenever someone comes to you and it's like, hey, what about this? It's a godsend. It's so great. It gives you the energy to kind of keep at it again, because it can wear you down. Always promoting yourself and always trying to sell yourself to people, convince people to check out your music and stuff. So, yeah, experiences like that every once in a while, it's kind of it's the refresh button. You know what I mean? It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, another perspective-changing experience that a lot of people our age have would be having a child.
Yeah.
And I know that you have a kid. How much has that changed? Not just like the difficulties of being in a band, but like how important is it to you to like leave some kind of legacy behind for your child, to be like, that was my pop?
Yeah, that's a good question too. Yeah, logistically, obviously, it can be kind of difficult, but we're working it out. We've got relatives nearby, grandmas and stuff to help babysit, so far it's been good. Lyrically, I haven't actually had time to write any lyrics recently. We've been working on music, but not lyrics, so I don't know yet how that's going to affect it. We'll see. I hope it don't turn into like a giant cheese ball overnight. Everything is a wonder.
It's working for Jay-Z, so.
Right? But I will admit that I definitely always, probably everyone does, but I always kind of pictured myself as being further along in my career by the time I had a kid. I kind of thought, yeah, you just picture yourself, sort of like knowing what you're doing. This is what I do. This is how I spend my days. This is how I earn my money. And I've got a few part-time jobs and stuff, but I'm still trying to do the music thing, and it's really difficult.
Yeah.
So that was hard for me. Like, I think I was even putting off having kids a little bit because I wanted to be more secure. Not so much for money. I mean, you got to make some money, but obviously kids have been raised on a lot less money than me and everyone else I know around these parts have. So that's not so much the issue. It's really mostly just like you want to be able to say to your kid, like, this is what I do. Like, this is how I contribute to society. This is my contribution, And yeah, legacy. Like, you want to feel like you can, you and your kid can be proud of what you do. And I am proud of our work, but it would be, of course it'd be great to feel like it had a clear role in society, you know what I mean? And I guess that means I wish it was a little bit more of a job, and I wish I was making more of a living and stuff. So I just felt more secure and like, because you can make music all you want to, but having people enjoy it on the other end, I mean, I know it's not the case for everyone, but for me that definitely helps give it value. It helps for me to know that people are getting something out of it. So, I kind of lost my train of thought. I was hoping to be further along. She's 5 months old. She's not wondering what it is I do for a living right now or whatever, so that's fine. But hopefully by the time she's a little older, and but it's probably equally important to make sure that the kid knows that you carved out your own path, and you followed your dreams, and you did stuff that made you happy. And obviously it's important that when you come home at night that you, that you got a smile on your face, or you had a good day because you're proud of what you did that day. And so all that stuff matters too, equally as far as just as much as having a role in society or whatever. So, and I am happy and I am proud of the work we've done and stuff, and
yeah.
So I'm still trying to figure it out, but I definitely think about that stuff all the time, absolutely. And it's hard not to think a little bit more about trying to find some ways to make some more money. You know what I mean? And maybe not with Canasta, because we don't ever have any interest in like changing the music to try and make more money. I mean, it is what it is, and we hope to find an audience, but that's it. But you definitely find yourself considering other avenues and stuff for maybe making more money. Whether it be writing more music for licensing stuff, or maybe playing cover bands or something like that. The kind of stuff that can, because I just love playing music, and I'd love to be able to focus on just doing that if I could. So I find myself thinking about that stuff more. For sure. Yeah.
But 10 years into it, has there been any thought about maybe this is as far as we can go, and we'll be friends and that's it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, even as we speak, where the band membership is discussing like whether or not everyone's kind of in it for the long haul or who's not and so forth. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if a few months from now the lineup was a little different than it is right now. Just to be totally truthful.
I mean, you guys have had multiple lineup changes over the years.
We have, and I think there are definitely some folks who have looked at the 10-year mark as sort of a good time to stop and reevaluate. But hey, it says Ryan Tracy. Hey, Ryan. Video interview.
Hey, Canasta's Ryan Tracy is here.
If you feel like Canasta's Ryan Tracy, you feel like standing behind me. Is this creepy enough? That's good.
That's his hello face.
I'll
find something a little more.
All right. Yeah. Cool. So some people I think have sort of taken that the 10-year mark as like a good time to reevaluate whatever. It's funny. I personally don't think about it much in terms of that. I definitely think about it more in terms of my own path and my own trajectory and having a baby and stuff. That stuff for sure. But 10 years, it's a cool milestone. But I never really thought like, oh, in 10 years we'll stop and reevaluate or whatever. There was a bug flying around. I didn't want to get.
Good job.
So, anyways, I don't. The band membership is definitely older than it used to be. Folks have more serious jobs. More people are married. I'm sure that a year from now I won't be the only one with a kid. So it probably will affect, like, it certainly affects, there's a little less time to, like, get together and just hang out and see if some music kind of pops up. You know what I mean? Like, we have to be more like, here's rehearsal time, let's sit down, let's work on music. Like, people have to be better. You gotta be more careful with the shows you play, probably. Like, we used to just get in the car and go wherever to play for anybody, anytime.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun, but probably can't afford to do that anymore as much. So we'll have to be a little smarter about it, about the way we use our time and stuff. But as of right now, I think we're still full steam ahead. I'm not sure if it's all 6 folks necessarily, but yeah, we're still working on another release. Probably something shorter, probably an EP or something, because it takes us so long. I'd love to get something out sooner. Yeah, full steam ahead, or at least 80% steam or something.
80%.
Yeah.
Batten down the hatches, folks. They're coming. So you're working on a new record, like we said. Do you feel like there's pressure now? Because like you just said, everybody's getting a little bit older.
Yeah.
They want to get something out. Do you feel like that kind of weighs on you a little bit? When you're in the studio working on the music, or when you're thinking about writing the lyrics, does that play into it at all? Or do you kind of just write whatever is coming from you right now?
It's interesting, considering that we probably spend more time thinking about booking and promo and administrative stuff than a lot of bands do. Like, we're really careful with that stuff, PR and all that. But we're pretty good at also separating it, I think. I would say that doesn't figure in at all when we write the music. I mean, the thing is, though, is that we're a pop band, and we're not shy about admitting that. So, in my mind, pop music is written for people to enjoy.
Yeah.
So, even though I get a lot out of it when we play music, it's not so much about exercising my demons or sort of like, it's not about my primal urges as much as it is about, like, I'm writing something that I hope other people can enjoy. And so that's always been the case in the beginning. So it's not like we had to really... Yeah, it's always been pop music. So we've always had the audience in mind. So we haven't had to, like, suddenly move in that direction, like, oh, we better start thinking about the listeners more or whatever. You know what I mean? We've already been doing that. So I don't feel much pressure when we're songwriting, when we're working on stuff like that. I don't think much about where people are at. which headspace they're in, what they need out of the band. But when it comes to everything else, rehearsing, shows, promo, everything, we definitely spend a lot of time trying to balance all the different goals people have. And it's crazy, with 6 people, it's like every person could want something different out of something, you know what I mean? So, and you kind of got to make sure everybody gets what they need to stick around, you know? So that can be really challenging, but not in terms of the music. The music, it's all about the music, and we really are able to focus on that. But yeah, every other decision, we keep that kind of stuff in mind, for sure. Yeah, and money, and time off of work, and people's personal responsibilities, and people's relationships and stuff. Like, you know, like we try to be cautious of stretching people's significant others, you know, to the brink and stuff, you know, because, yeah, 6 people, it's like we have a lot of schedule juggling, and like it takes a lot of work, a lot of personal sacrifices, like socially especially, to do it. And we're always shooting for gigs that are, you know, big gigs that are probably above and beyond what we normally get, and so our calendar is full of possible gigs we're looking into that may or may not come to fruition, you know what I mean? Yeah. Opening slots and stuff, and so you got to leave your calendar really open and really flexible, and that can be tough for people, for sure.
I know you guys do have a couple dates lined up.
Yeah.
I think I saw one September
16th.
September 16th.
Yeah, it's the Guinness Oyster Fest, which we played in '06. So we played it 6 years ago. It's right around the corner from where I live in Roscoe Village. I'm sure it'll be a blast. They're always, like, you know, they're paying us nicely. I'm sure there'll be a crowd. Like, it's gonna be fun. I'm dying to see who the bands are, because from year to year, it's been like some bands have been killer bands that I love and we would fit great with. Other bands, it's like not my thing. You know, we'll see. Like, I hope we fit in well. But I mean, I'm gonna assume they know what they're doing. They booked us, you know.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's the only Chicago show. Like, we're not aggressively booking right now. We're really trying to stay focused on writing music, and only if something kind of comes our way, like a cool show like that, then we're like, sure. But other than that, we're not out looking for gigs right now. We have a couple in Kalamazoo that sort of tie in with my college reunion.
Right, you guys went to Kalamazoo.
I did, so did Elizabeth, the violinist. Early on in the band's history, all 6 members were from that school. Not anymore, just 2 of us now. But it's our college reunion, and Bell's Brewery is in Kalamazoo, which is an amazing brewery, so we're gonna go play there and stuff. But that's about it on the calendar, except for those you know, cool shows. Like, we're laying low. That's the idea anyway. We get easily distracted, and when we you know, 10 years, it's like we feel like our fans deserve an interesting original show every time. So we're always trying to think of ways to make it different. We're always trying to come at the promotion in a different way, and that's cool and stuff. But every once in a while, you look up and you're like, man, we played a lot of shows, but like we don't have that many records, you know? Yeah. So yeah, we need to focus.
Yeah. Do you feel like after 10 years, you put out 2 records, 2 full lengths? Do you feel like your productivity has been stifled by just the nature of the group being so large?
Absolutely. It's what makes the music sound like it does, and I love our band, and I love all the instrumentation. We have so many flavors and stuff to work with whenever we write a song. It's awesome. But juggling those schedules, and then pretty much once a year, once every 9 months or so, losing somebody, then having to find somebody new, train them on all the songs and stuff. Because we get hired to play a lot of like 2-hour gigs and stuff, where we have to play like a lot of stuff. So that has absolutely slowed down the productivity, for sure. But like I said, it's also the reason we sound like we sound, and we kind of have our own thing going on. So, you know, maybe, I don't know, but I'm not sure that a show with just me and a guitar, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if our songs just aren't written like that. Like, they really need a lot of the details and a lot of the other instruments and stuff. So, yeah, I feel pretty blessed to have all that stuff to work with, but logistically, it's kind of a nightmare, too. Yeah, it's a slow process. And like I said, it's not the situation where, like, I write a song and bring it to the band, and then they just sort of add a couple things on top and we're done. It's like, no, we start with, like, a riff or a chord progression or, like, a little lyrical piece or whatever, and build from there, you know? The whole song, top to bottom, everybody's parts, all 6 of us in a room. Yeah. It's a long, long process, but it ends up with original sounding stuff. You got, like, the guitar player writing violin parts, and the drummer writing keyboard parts, and I write guitar parts, and, like, people who don't write for those instruments, or don't play those instruments, write for them, and you end up with interesting parts. I think it's cool.
Well, after 10 years, maybe it's not an exact science. But you've certainly figured something out.
Yeah, but at the same time, I guess I feel like personally, I think art, or good art, is is always a combination of knowing your strengths and playing to some of those, but also pushing yourself into the areas where you're not comfortable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, we started writing some stuff, and at the beginning, some of it to me sounded a little bit like it could have been tracks 12, 13, 14, and 15 from the last record. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just like the continuation, and I was like, well, I'm really proud of the last record. I love it, but towards the end of writing that record, it started to get less adventurous, less scary. It became more like we knew what we were doing, and it was more of a science. Like, okay, we put the bridge here. I know this goes here. This will sound over here. So we're actually in the process right now. We have some cool like melodies and chords and stuff, and we're kind of trying to find a stylistic approach that might make us a little uneasy. Because that's kind of where some cool stuff has come about in the past, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you hit on something, you're like, oh, I can't believe that worked, and I want to get that feeling back, you know? So we're trying to surprise ourselves.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Whenever it happens.
Yeah,
I know Canasta is a deliberate band.
2020 is far away.
Yeah, they're not going to put anything out until it's perfect. So
it's true. That's at least I definitely don't regret like any show we played, any music we released. Like I feel really good about everything we've done so far. So that's cool. But yeah, it takes a while.
Yeah, that's all right. When it's as good as it is,
thank you.
We'll take it when we can
Awesome.
get it. Like Heinz 57. Good things come to those who wait.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's how we feel. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for taking the time, Matt. I think 45 minutes is probably long enough.
Yeah, nice meeting you, Josh.
Yeah, you too, for the first time ever.
We met the other day, but not really, just briefly, at the show. But yeah, nice to get to know you. Thanks for having me.